Hello, this is Barrett from Cypress College, and in this lab video today, we're going to cover an introduction to DynamoDB. So this is Amazon's NoSQL database, implements key value data models, which is really good for things like mobile, web, gaming, ad tech, IoT, and many other types of applications. So essentially, this lab is pretty straightforward. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right on into DynamoDB. You can see here managed NoSQL database. And essentially in this lab, we're just going to create a table. We're going to enter some data into that table. We're going to query it, and then we'll wrap things up, and then we'll remove or delete our table that we created. So first thing we want to do is create our table. So we're in the Amazon DB service here. We can click on create table right here. And let's go ahead and give our table name the name of music. So we're going to be entering in like artists and song titles and some other information related to those songs. So for partition key, let's go ahead and add artist. And it will be a string. So we basically can work with binary, numbers, or strings. And sort key, let's go ahead and list that as song. This will also be a string. And so this is very simple. We're going to be looking for the artist, and then we're going to be looking to enter in a specific song. And we'll just go ahead and leave everything else at its default settings, and we'll go and create that table. And you can see it's creating here. We have the table name of music. And we'll give this just a moment to finalize. Okay, so the table is creative, it is active. So let me go ahead and come into here. So now essentially, what is a table? So a table, it's a collection of data on a particular topic. And in this topic, we're focusing on music, right? We're focusing on song titles. And each of these tables, or this table specifically, I should say, contains multiple items. So item is a group of attributes that is unique among all the other items. And this is very similar to rows in other database systems. And with DynamoDB, it's important to note there is no limit to the number of items you could store in a table. And then, of course, each item is composed of one or more attributes. So an attribute is a fundamental data element, something that does not need to be broken down any further. For example, an item in a music table contains attributes such as song and artist, right? So we saw those, we added those attributes already, and we will add some more as we go along here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the items in the left-hand menu here. And let's go ahead and create another item here. So we'll go ahead and click on music here to load up our specific table that we've created. And over here, we'll go ahead and create item. Now, here are our attributes that we created, right? Artist and song. So let's give it the artist Pink Floyd. And the song, we'll call it Money. Now, we can also create additional attributes on the fly here. So let's create a new one we'll create a new string value, and we're going to call this album. Whoops, forgot the M. Okay, and now what album was Money on? That was The Dark Side of the Moon. All right, and we can add another attribute. This time, let's choose a number attribute. And here we could say the new value of this is year. And what year was that released? 1973. All right, so we're creating a new item while also creating new attributes and including them right here. So let's go ahead and create that item. And now you can see we've populated our table with its first item. So if we have artist, song, album, and year. as all of our current attributes. So let's go ahead and create, I'm following along what the lab is asking us to create here. So we'll create a new item. And we've got artist as John Lennon. We've got the song as Imagine. Whoops. And we could add a new attribute string of album. Whoops, wrong place. We want the value to be album. That is also called Imagine. Now, straight away, you could see that we likely should have included album as a default attribute here. But in this case, this lab is just all about getting the hang of adding these in manually if you need them. Because that's the cool thing about DynamoDB. You could have multiple attributes. They don't need to all apply to the same item. One item can have completely a set of attributes than another, but still reside in the same table. So let's see, another attribute. We'll do number. We'll do year again. This was 1971. And now in this case, let's add a completely different attribute. We'll say genre. So that is a string, and that is soft rock. All right. And now you see here, this attribute genre has been added. Soft rock for John Lennon, but currently Pink Floyd, there is no genre attribute set because we didn't, add it when we created that. Let's go ahead and create a third item. This is going to be Psy. Song is Gangnam Style. So this one's a bit more, a little bit more modern and current, even though it was about 10 years ago now. So let's add a new string for album again. Quite an album name here. There we go. New attribute, let's add number for year. This was 2011. Time flies, doesn't it? And another number, let's look at length, seconds. So how long in seconds is this song? Apparently it is 219 seconds long. All right, so we have some new attributes here. Let's see length, seconds right here. We've got year, genre, album, song, artist. Cool. So now what if we wanted to modify? Pretty straightforward. We'll just select Psy, for example. And let's say we made a mistake. This actually is 2012. It's as easy as that. Save changes. And so you can do that as needed. Now, moving on to task 4 already, we could take a look at how we would query, or basically another word for search, through this database. And so what we want to do is, you see here it says expand to query or scan items. So we'll just want to drop down this music section, which this is basically saying this is the title of our table, right? And let's go ahead and run a query first. So we switch over to that. Let's say partition key or artist, we'll search for Psy. And sort key, that should be equal to Gangnam Style. And you can see items returned 1. It brings back that specific item. Now, if we go to scan, we can say, okay, we want to scan a particular filter. So attribute name, let's say year. And remember the type of year is a number, not a string. If you would have searched this on a string, it would have come up blank. So you need to specify number, and we'll say equal to 1971. Let's go ahead and run that. And there you go. So always important to understand how to query for things that you need. Obviously, these are very, very simple examples, but you can continue to work with different filters and potentially scan for very specific items as needed. Okay, and finally, to wrap up this lab, this one's pretty straightforward. Let's say we're done with this table and we wanted to delete it. Definitely no longer needed. Literally just select that there and come up here and press delete. And you can see it gives you some other options. Delete all CloudWatch alarms for this table. We'll go ahead and do that here. You could also create a backup before deleting it. So maybe you just wanted to remove it from your environment, but also want to retain the data, which I could see that being a pretty valid use case. So you would just select that there if you wanted to do that. But here it's just asking us to confirm by typing delete. You see something very similar when you go to delete like S3 objects or S3 buckets. It's making you actually type something in and say, hey, are you for sure you want to delete this? And interesting, it doesn't let us delete it. Did it? Oh, yes, it did. There we go. Cool. All right. Like I said, yeah, very quick lab, pretty straightforward. It's just adding items, creating new attributes as needed, and then querying those tables. So this is really cool. There's some really fun home labs built around DynamoDB, things that you could set up to maybe play around with this some more. But hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.